What are you requesting with the delivery? You said something about deliveries.
Yes, the planning board recommendation, which this board adopted, was that deliveries could only take place between 7:30 in the morning and 6:30 at night.
During those hours.
Correct.
So you'd like to eliminate them as well?
Well, you know, we can live with it with regard to everybody but the bread guy. The bread guy comes at between 6 and 7 o'clock in the morning and delivers to McQuaid's and wherever.
So how much bread do you buy?
I'll ask my son that. I mean, I don't know, 3 dozen, whatever.
Well, before we get there, what has changed to make a support or request for a modification?
Experience of operating the place. When I was here last year, I was asked to negotiate something that didn't exist. It was in a vacuum. And based on the operation of the restaurant last year, we discovered that there's certain things that are just extremely difficult to live with.
Well, we've had experience before. We're a little bit skeptical of these serial requests for ever-enlarging, modifications and relief. Because people come out and they have to spend time and money objecting to these things. I'm not suggesting that is what you're doing, but we've dealt with it before, and it's a bit troubling. Here this evening, seemingly a lot of people here. This doesn't seem to be any different than you were a year ago.
Well, first of all, a modification based on last year's vote, I don't think qualifies as a serial request for a change. I would think a serial request would involve more than one request for a change. I can represent to you that the purpose of the meeting here today is to make the operation run more smoothly for the benefit of the community and the customers, and that's the sole motivation. We don't intend to come back here next year and ask to be open until 10 p.m. We don't intend to come back here the year after that and expect you to give us approval to be operating till midnight. I mean, I fully understand and sympathize your point that you don't want businesses taking advantage of a volunteer board by coming in every year and trying to push the envelope. We're simply not doing that.
Well, that may be the case. There's a question of administrative finality, of whether perhaps some council might opine on that issue, of whether there's a threshold issue here to be hurdled.
Well, I think it's incumbent upon the applicant to show that there's a change in circumstances in presenting a modification request. The unique circumstance here is that at the time this request was granted last year, it was a new application, and obviously there wasn't a lot of experience by these applicants in running the business. So I think the board needs to determine whether the operation over the past year would constitute the sufficient change in circumstances to for the applicant to meet his burden regarding administrative finality.
I thought, if I'm not mistaken, the administrative finality issue has to do with bringing a new application within a one-year period. Because I understand that if you bring an application, you can't bring the same or similar application within 1 year. But after the 1 year, the example would be if I come in here for an addition for a bedroom, am I precluded from coming in a year later to add a bedroom? I think that's the administrative finality rule that made a realty issue is for a 1 year period.
Do you agree? Disagree?
No, I think, again, he hasn't asked for this particular release before, although he is looking to expand the time of operation and the time of deliveries to modify the existing permit based on their experience.
Well, Peter Liberati is my first witness.
Raise your hand, please. Someone swear testimony about the area of truth, so we'll talk about the
I do.
state your name, please.
Peter Liberati.
Thank you.
Are you the co-owner of the shack?
Yes, I am.
And did you operate the shack last year?
I did.
And how long were you open?
We're open from August 2nd to October 15th.
And did customers request, did you have experience with customers requesting service after 6 p.m.?
Yes.
And how many occasions?
During the height of the season, it was almost every day.
Okay, and And were they customers of the boatyard and members of the community?
I'd say it was a mix of both.
Okay. And did you serve alcohol?
No, never.
And were you aware that you had a half hour to set up and clean up?
We were made aware after Fred Brown came down and told us, basically.
Okay. And is that, had you operated the shack prior to last year?
Yes.
Prior to?
No, I haven't.
Okay. And was it your experience during last year that 1/2 hour to set up and to clean up was sufficient?
After going through it last year, it made things very, very difficult to perform what we needed to do within a half hour of closing and opening the business.
And please explain to the board why.
In the process of properly closing an eatery, there's certain precautions you have to take in regards to changing out food and properly cleaning the building, and doing that in 30 minutes. I was there with my brother, and it was something that it was extremely difficult.
Well, what did you do with that?
There's a lot of, even just cleaning the building, between sweeping the floors, mopping the floors, cleaning all the dishes used for the day, changing out old food, replacing with new food to get ready for the next day. And there's a number of general cleaning issues as far as even dusting and cleaning windows and stuff that we try to get done during the day, but when it's busy and the screws are on, doing it in 30 minutes at the end of the day, it was extremely difficult.
How long did it take you to do those?
All those things, after we talked to Fred Brown, we really had to start at 4 o'clock, most of the duties, and doing it at 4 o'clock, things still get dirty if you're still busy, and by the end of the day, some of the things that you already cleaned, you have to re-clean, and if you have time. And unfortunately, some of those situations we didn't have time because we had to have the doors locked by 6:30.
During that setup and cleanup time, did you ever serve a customer?
No, never.
And were you aware of the restrictions on deliveries?
Again, I wasn't until we received, Fred Brown came down and informed us of the rules.
All right. And can you operate this business with a restriction on deliveries?
Again, it makes it very difficult. Obviously, you can't serve stale bread, and the only one of the major commercial bakeries that serves a number of businesses on this island, like, as my father said, delivers once a day to Jamestown. There's one truck that's delivering to other businesses, and to control the time that they bring it down to Dutch Harbors, they're not very sympathetic from the other end, and there's not a lot of other options.
You get deliveries every day?
Close to it. Usually every other day for bread.
How much bread do you got?
In terms of loaves, we would probably go through, just for a Saturday example, we'd probably buy about 20 loaves.
How about rolls?
Well, that's everything,
Okay.
we buy baguettes and cut it down.
I have was that a box?
It's like 2 or 3 boxes, about this size.
I have a question.
Sure.
When you were given permission to open, there was a permission that came in writing, correct?
Yes, sir.
And it had these conditions on it?
Yes, sir.
How does it happen you weren't aware of those?
I took care of it.
Yeah.
I'm not being facetious, but I've got all the
You pass it
approvals.
on to him?
And, no, sir, I did not give him a copy of it when he first opened. It was my mistake. But that's correct.
At the time, it was running in the...
We understand we're responsible for the approval that was given, but we also want to demonstrate that dealing with this was not intentional. Difficulties were not intentional. Keep going.
Well, one quick thing.